Hi, everybody. I wanted to share a little bit of update with you about teacher keys and evaluations for the year and share with you the feedback I got from the conversation on Wednesday at 8:30 in the morning, and then share with you a timeline for the coming weeks. And then finally share with you just kind of how I'm approaching this whole evaluation piece while we're in COVID. So first part is the feedback from Wednesday. So on Wednesday, we had about 13 people come to coffee with me in the morning, and what came out of that conversation was a couple things. One was people felt like some of the TEKS standards we have more control over in a COVID world, in a virtual world, and some standards we feel we have less control over. So we kind of talked about which ones we feel we have more control and which ones we have less. And so what I'm going to suggest and the admin team talked about was potentially evaluating those standards we have more control over first and whenever possible, and then figuring out how to do the ones we have less control over a little later once we get more familiar with virtual learning. The other thing that came up was just all the different kind of perspectives people have. So one person would share that they thought that one standard would be really easy to do virtually, and another person would share that they thought that that was going to be really difficult. And the things that they were saying basically weren't aligned. Like we were thinking of the standard in two different ways. And so what it told me was that we kind of need some shared understanding about what does, for example, standard 3 instructional strategies. What does that look like in a virtual world? Where's the bar? What is proficiency, right? What are we looking for? And then what is approaching the bar and what is above and beyond, right? And so we need to build that shared understanding with each other. And the third thing was just that in the normal school building, we'd all be walking around, we would see each other. I'd pop my head in your class every morning and say good morning. We'd see you all the time. And we would just have this wealth of context on your classroom, on your students, on just how you are as a teacher. And in the virtual world, we're pretty much siloed. You work on your teams, but in terms of the administrative team's view into classrooms, it is much more siloed and it's harder to get that context. And so there was kind of this feeling that I got from the conversation that we need to be intentional about building that context before we start evaluating folks so that we can make sure we understand at least a little more about what's going on in the virtual world in your classrooms, the challenges you're facing, the opportunities that you have, things like that. So that was kind of the main trends from the feedback on Wednesday. Thank you to those 13 folks for sharing. And I do have some follow-up one-on-one conversations just with a couple of folks because I wanted to learn a little more from them next week. But in terms of timeline, you can expect teachers, you can expect an email from your AP to schedule your pre-conference from now until fall break. We're going to try to wrap them up before fall break or a couple of days after fall break if we have to. And to those pre-conferences, you're bringing your Gallup Strengths Finder, you're bringing your SMART goals for the year, and your self-assessment. So you'll be talking about where do you think that you're really strong and where do you want to grow this year. After that, the teaching assistants will have their meetings with the administrators. And so that'll come mid-October to late October. And so TAs, don't worry. We'll have meetings with you to orient you to your evaluation tool and let you know what's coming too. And then our operational team will be going at the same time as TAs, and the administrative team will happen next week. You also will see, just for us to build kind of that shared language, you'll also see we'll do calibration walks after fall break, kind of just popping into classrooms and making sure that me, Diamond, and Sharonda are all aligned and that we provide feedback that's aligned to the expectations that we'll share with you for virtual learning. And you may also just see us popping into morning meetings. I think to get that context, it would be helpful to just pop in and say good morning, see what's going on, get to know the kids, and see what's happening in the virtual classroom. So you may see us popping into morning meetings moving forward. The last thing, the third piece to this whole conversation is just my own self-assessment and goals for the year. I think it's important that you all know and see that I'm not perfect and that I have things I want to grow and work on every year. And they change all the time, every year. And so I'll be sharing my self-assessment and my goals with you all as well so that you can just see this is totally normal. We all have things we're really strong at and we all have things that we want to do better at. And the point is to grow and to push ourselves and to get a little bit uncomfortable because that means we're learning. So that is a summary of the conversation from Wednesday and where we're going from now through the end of October. And you'll see us in classroom soon. See you later.